We're even recording. Excellent. I'm gonna welcome everybody.
Yes, welcome to our community development meeting. And we have Dan Merritt, Matt Powers, and Mitch Stone here, and we're gonna have a short meeting, take care of a few business items, and then we're gonna have a walk around to get ready for the Orono Arts Fest.
No,
Or Dan and I will.
no,
No, what are we doing?
we're not. Orono Festival Day.
Oh, Orono Festival Day, yes, sorry.
Let the record show we have so many festivals in
Strike that.
Orono.
Strike that. Strike it down.
We, for the public watching at home, are
Nice.
gonna measure out bounce house spaces.
All right, let's get it. We wanted to circle back over what we were doing when it.
Between stuff on
Yeah.
traffic.
Yep.
So I know that was, I know we're getting some data back and we did the Orono stop survey. I don't think we're probably ready to do an in-depth conversation as we sit here today, but what do we need to do to bring forward a recommendation to move some of those projects?
By the last time, I'm trying to think back when we met about this the last time, I believe that you missed that meeting. We talked
Yeah.
a lot about the data
Yeah.
was there.
Yeah.
And we were talking about
Yeah.
kind of what. I think the next step was
Yeah.
for you folks in
Yeah,
one
we
of
have
the
to
meetings to
decide.
really say, okay, what are the pieces here that. Need to make, what's the recommendation that you
Yeah.
guys were gonna make back to the council about the direction you
Yeah.
wanted to go based on some of the data that was there.
I think there's two things that we can do based on the data here, and Dan, and you can tell me what you think.
Sure.
This is what I was thinking as we were looking at the data. There's two pieces, we needed a baseline, this is our baseline, right? And so part of the data is anything that we implement, then we can see if there makes a difference on some sort of criteria based on this baseline, right? That's one way of taking care of this. There's multiple prongs of it. So one is just to say this is our baseline data. We have it now, and now anything we do now, what part of this data do we want to see change?
Yeah.
Right, because we want to keep track of it. So that's one part of the data. And then the other aspect that came up and Mitch talked about, and I think is important, is to understand that once people get used to, say, the signs in an area, then maybe it's not as effective. And so one idea for us to consider too would be to moving signs around. And I think that that's a good idea. On the other hand, I also want to see what happens, so we have this push and pull. I want to see that if we make a recommendation, say to have more tickets given or whatever recommendation it is, just to see, okay, does that, whatever metric we decide on this, are we seeing a positive correlation to whatever it is we're doing, right?
And if I remember correctly, too,
Yeah.
one of the things in looking at the data was. There were abilities to pull
Right.
more
Right.
specific things than the general stuff there, but talking about. Look, we understand that at that, let's take a speed sign, at that speed sign, there's gonna be variables and.
Yeah.
Not that somebody going 40 is okay, but what is the.
Yeah.
What are we most concerned about, and see if we can target. Check that out to say, look, we really are concerned about anything that is extremely over the.
Yeah.
The this to this and
And
how
then
do we.
maybe also what time gap.
Yeah, what are the time gaps and do those things make a difference as far as how we enforce or come up with a plan to try to shift that behavior?
Yeah.
So I think some of that stuff was trying to work that out, but I think the baseline was a good piece too, because we are doing things.
Yeah.
And now that we have this set, what does this mean? And are we seeing, we see this at the sign at this point in a year, has it slowed down because the sign's there?
Yeah.
We're now looking at the sign, is it slowed down because we made an increased effort and doing this or we made an increased effort between 8 and 3. And hey, look, the data last year said between 8 and 3 was this, we made an effort, now it says this,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's really it could be a little bit of a push and pull with Dan and his team to say,
Yeah.
you know. Why don't you try some of the things, why don't you come back with some ideas on trying, these are the things we're trying to curtail.
Yeah, and I think as a researcher too, the most interesting thing is we have the baseline. And the reason being is because then we can hopefully analyze whatever it is we do, analyze, because we might have specific behavioral changes that are surprising to us based on whatever it is we do. And if you're only looking at, like, obviously we want to say, like, anybody going over 40 miles an hour, we want to cut that down. That's like an absolute, but if we look at the totality of the data and we have a baseline, we might find some surprising things that are either positive or negative based on what we do, and that's also good. So we need to have specific ideas of what we want to decrease or see happen. And so I think for us, Dan, it might be when Orono Festival Days is kind of wrapping up and we have enough bandwidth, is to make some decisions on this is next year, this is what we want to kind of see, and then talk to the police chief and say, what are some ideas of what are options that might help resolve this, and then work together and see, and then we can actually, after implementing that, look at the data and see if it made a difference. That's how I'm viewing it.
Yeah, I think, I think that sounds precisely right. I do think I think we match the data with the survey we did, the Orono Stop survey, where we asked residents to give us suggestions on where they find the most challenges. And then be able to justify both the ask, you know, the ask of the rest of council, you know, for ourselves and then community wide, is that we think we need to make, you know, there's three pieces to it, right? There's education, there's education and infrastructure investments. So I think we put those two, the data, the traffic data, which I need to spend more time on. And not, you rewatch the presentation for that meeting that I had.
We need to sit down together.
Okay, and then, maybe we spend, so if it's not a whole meeting, maybe.
We can do
and then.
And I think what would be valuable too is not necessarily coming up with how you think we should figure out how to solve a problem, is figure out what do we think. What is the issues that we need to try to address? And let Chief Merrill try to come back with some, okay, well, we think we can do this, and we're gonna, you know, these are the things we're gonna try, and we're gonna be very deliberate about how that works so that we can really pull the data correctly. So it's not a random, we know, I mean, you say you wanna reduce 40 miles an hour over, when we look at the data and say, well, between 8 and, you know, 9:30, no one's going 40 because it's busy, you know, your bumper's
Right.
same thing at night, so, you know, where are we looking at this, and so, you know.
It's it's that, I can tell you from walking with my wife, it's that 7 o'clock, 6 to 7 o'clock hour where a lot of the Orono residents are home. And people are blasting down Route 2 to get wherever they're going, through Orono, and they wanna make up time so they can slow down and be easy. So.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think, I think that's, and you're right, and I haven't looked really in depth at the survey data yet, which is my bad. I really didn't see
I
that.
spent more time on that, less time on the data, so if we.
So let's get together and look at that, because I think that would be interesting, and we'll circle around with Chief Merrill.
And we'll make that a subtask for you and I, and loop Andrea in as part of the next build, so sure that we make the discussion part of it. Okay. Good, sounds good. Can we adjourn to Orono Festival?
Let's adjourn.
We're gonna walk and talk around Orono Festival Day. So we're adjourned, thank you. Let's go. We do this.